Hello and welcome to Talk FCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys, for another video. And basically this is the Olympiacos against Barcelona, and with a bit of a positive spin on it, because I know yesterday obviously after the game I came on and did a video and it was quite negative, and it was, but I think that was quite valid. I don't really go back with any of those words. I stand by what I said in the heat of the moment. I don't think in the last few weeks we've been there. I think there have been definitely a big dip in our performances, and I think there must be a reason for that, and we have to find that reason and really nullify that threat, because I think right now our team needs something different. It needs a bit of a spark, it needs a bit of energy, and I think right now we are lacking in a certain department. And I think it does all go back to the summer. I think in the summer the board, as we know, made a monumental error. They didn't sign the players that we desperately needed, particularly in that midfield area. Having said that, or looking back on it, I do speak after the game, directly after the game. Obviously, emotions are running high. I stand by what I said, but what I wanted to do today was basically do a video with a bit more of a positive spin on it, because there are certain things that you can take from yesterday's game and move on from them, and hopefully we can improve and get the results that we need, because our schedule is really difficult. We've got the likes of Valencia, Leganes, we've got Sevilla coming right up, we've got Juventus away from home, and these are games that we can either go into and crash and burn, or we can go into them with a lot of momentum, try and get some confidence and get out of those games with the 3 points, and hopefully find our A game in the biggest performances of the season. We need to start performing in these types of games, and it could be these types of matches that really inspire us, that inspire the players and the coach to give us the best possible performances that we can. So basically, looking back on yesterday's game, having time to reflect on it, look at it in a bit more detail, there are a number of things that you can take from that. Number one, the monumental thing of it is we dropped points yesterday, we drew against Olympiacos, but the bottom line is it didn't really mean anything. Luckily for us, Juventus went away to Sporting Lisbon, they drew the game 1-1 on the night, so luckily for us, it didn't really matter. We didn't lose any ground in the Champions League, we're still safely top of our group. If we go away to Juventus, we can afford to draw the game, even maybe lose it, given the fact that we beat them so convincingly at the Camp Nou. As long as we beat Sporting in that final game, we should see ourselves safely through to the knockout stages and hopefully finish top of the group. So yesterday, even though we dropped points, it didn't really mean a great deal. And I said yesterday that basically going into that game, there'd been a number of performances before that match, the likes of Malaga, even Olympiacos at home. You think about the weekend against Athletic, particularly in that second half, where we'd sort of seen this result coming. But on the spin side of that, if there was going to be a game where we dropped points, where it all came to a crescendo, where it all went wrong, this was a good one for it to happen, because at the end of the day, like I just said, it didn't really matter that we dropped points. So if we were going to make mistakes, if we were going to see where we were going wrong, this was the game where it was kind of good that it happened, because now we can see what went wrong, now we've dropped points, now people need to look a bit closer at the performances, and now we can really analyse it, even though it hasn't really cost us too much. If this had happened in the league, if this had happened in a bigger game, it could have been a bit more detrimental, but this was the game where the mistakes were made, and now we can work on them and rectify them, and really work on putting those things right. And the thing that I would say next in terms of a positive spin on things is about injuries, and it is quite true that at the moment we have been very unfortunate with injuries. Even today we've had even further bad news than injuries. Sergio Roberto is going to be out for around 5 weeks. Andre Gomez is going to be out for around a month as well. So two players there out for quite a sustained period of time. Already on the sideline, we've got the likes of Rafinha, who's been out for a really long period. Ousmane Dembele, of course, not due back until 2018 in January. Even Andres Iniesta recently, he was out. Piqué missed the game yesterday through suspension. So we have got a number of players who are not available. You think of the likes of Iniesta coming back into the team, Ousmane Dembele, those are the kind of players that can make a real difference. They can give us a different dimension, they can give us a bit more quality, and that's what we were lacking yesterday. And I think it does need to be said, looking back on the game, I did mention it as well in the review, we did create a number of chances in that first half. It has to be said that in that first half, we created chance after chance. Luis Suarez was capable of missing a few, even Lionel Messi had a chance that was saved by the goalkeeper. There was a few free kicks throughout the game as well, which were very close. It could have been quite easily a different game. It wasn't really about the result for me though yesterday, it was about the performance. That's where it went wrong, and that's why I had so many problems with yesterday's game. But in terms of the scoreline, it could have quite easily been very different had we put away one of those chances. So on a different day, we could have quite easily won that game, but I still think the cracks were there, and we need to look at them. And that's why I'm kind of glad that we drew the game. It didn't make any difference, but now we can really look at ourselves and work on improving. What I would also say as well is, I mentioned Dembele. You think about when those players come back, the likes of Dembele Dembele in 2018, you think about Valverde's team selection, if he can get everything right, if he can keep building up, getting himself together, putting out these lineups, trying things, if he can continue getting away with it until 2018, Dembele comes back into the team, hopefully Iniesta's been rotated and he's fresh to go, hopefully the likes of Gerard Piqué has regained his form, then you think about Luis Suarez. It could be a very, very different story this season in terms of our performances, in terms of winning games a lot more comfortably. If Luis Suarez was fit and firing and on form, if he starts putting goals in the back of the net like we know Suarez can, whether or not he's able to come back from this, I honestly don't know. I've always said that I think at some point a light bulb will flick and he'll come back. I really hope it's true. Whether that's sort of hope talking and not belief, I don't know. But I just want Suarez back, the guy that we know, the guy that we love, in front of goal, scoring goals that we know that he can. He can do that. And if he could come back into form, along with Gerard Piqué, we could be a completely different side with Dembele in 2018. It's a few months away, but if we can get everything ready, particularly in that second half of the season, that's where it can really go wrong. That's when you've got your key Champions League matches, you've got your league season coming to an end, you've got the latter stage of the Copa del Rey. That's the kind of form that you need in the second half of the season. You need to be good then. Right now, we can get away with being poor. It's frustrating to watch. Even at times this season, it's been boring. That's why I've been so disappointed, because at times with this Barca, I have been bored, and that's something I never want to feel with this team. But if we can just keep building slowly but surely, hopefully Ernesto Valverde has a plan. He has something in place that he's working towards. If he does, we can get things right when Dembele comes back, when we've got our key players back in form. We could get things right for the latter stage of the season when you really, really need it. And the final thing that I would look to in this video as a bit of a positive outlook is the month of January in general. Obviously, we all know there's a transfer window in January. We have the opportunity to buy players if we want to. Now, last month, Bartomeu came out and he quite boldly said, we don't plan to sign anyone in January. I want to know if his opinion has changed. Has it changed at all? Because right now, I think looking at that squad, you look at the injuries that we have, we look at the clear holes in the squad that we have, I think we could do with somebody. I think at first we should definitely look towards the B team. If we can get what we need there, we should definitely use it. But if what we need is not there, we should definitely be looking to reinforce the squad in January. But more than that, I think it's so important that in January we shift the dead weight. It should have been done last summer. It really should have been done in the summer. The squad should have been trim. Valverde should have had everybody that he wanted to there, but that hasn't happened. If Valverde doesn't trust in Paco Alcácer, he should be sold in January. No doubt about that. If you don't trust in players, if you've got no intention of playing them, they shouldn't be in the squad. You should be giving minutes to players that you believe in. We should have options in the squad that we can use across all games. Nobody in that team should be useless. The likes of Arda Turan, he's still not fit. No idea what's wrong with him. Alex Vidal doesn't really seem to fit in any position. He's not quite a right back. He's not quite a right winger. What exactly is he? If he cannot be used, he should be moved on as well. Rafinha needs to get back to fitness as soon as is possible. So we need to look at our squad. We need to look at possible incomings. You look at somebody at Sampdoria like Lucas Torreira. We were linked with him in the summer. He had a €15 million release clause. That went up when they renewed his contract. We were too slow to act on that one. He's been sensational in Serie A this season. A centre midfielder, somebody who's capable of going forward. He's capable of defending as well. He's a physical player, but he's also very, very comfortable on the ball. He's a young player. He wouldn't have broke the bank. Somebody like that who you can bring in, who can make a difference. Somebody intelligent. They should be looking at players. They should be scouting players, and they should be making intelligent signings. Nobody's got to go out there and spend 100 million every single time. If you're clever enough, if you've got the right team, the right system in your scouting, in the boardroom, which I don't think we do have, that's the biggest problem. If you've got that, you should be able to go out there and find talents. The same as a centre-back. We could bring in somebody at centre-half, somebody young, somebody talented. It looks like most likely the Mascherano will move on next summer. Unfortunately, he's been a fantastic servant to the club, but it looks like he'll move on. But I just think in general, yesterday, luckily enough, it didn't affect us. We drew the game, but it didn't really matter. Those are the kind of games that you want to make the mistakes in. We've made them, we've seen evidence of it break down on the pitch. We need to be working on that. And the most important thing for me is those key players. Luis Suarez, Gerard Piqué, getting Iniesta back, getting Dembele back, getting everybody on form and ready for a really difficult period. Like I say, the schedule we've got coming up the next month will really define us. We're doing very, very well in the league in terms of points. We've got our points on the board. We've got a clear gap between us and Real Madrid. The game against Valencia is going to be a massive one. They're on fire right now. We've got to go to the Mestalla and we've got to take them on in front of a very, very atmospheric crowd. The Valencia fans are really behind their team this season, and when that happens, it's a very, very difficult stadium to go to. So we're going to have to see what happens. I think we should all remain positive. A lot of people think I'm a big negative person. That's absolutely not true. If you've followed my channel over the last few years, really, you'll see that I'm not. I do try to be positive. It's just yesterday, I was really disappointed. It had all come to a crescendo, because like I said, I'd seen this coming for a few weeks now. I'd been bored by Barca. That was a very, very sad moment for me, being bored by this team. Hopefully now we can learn from it, we can move on, and we can hopefully start to string together some very, very impressive performances and good results in the coming month. I'll see you for more videos very, very soon, guys, but until then, as always, Vesca! El Barça! 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 Barça!